GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good morning, I'm Lauren Dupuis. We'll start with the protest at La Salle College as it remains closed, then a look at the new bi-weekly trash collection expanding to 4 boroughs. Expect heavy traffic from road closures and a severe thunderstorm watch this afternoon. Over to you, Ryan.
The gmna gift shop just opened, tiny but proud, boasting exactly 2 mugs and quick checkout via Quick.com.
You can find it online at shop.gmna.ca, where the 2 mugs already cause friendly competition.
It's charmingly limited now, but they promise new designs soon, so the mug line will finally outgrow its own shadow.
All right, let's get into it. The latest headlines around Montreal, from campus updates to community stories you'll want. Here are our top stories. Students and staff gathered outside La Salle College in Montreal, protesting the institution's continued closure after filing for bankruptcy protection and owing nearly $48 million to the Quebec government. Denise Lariviere has the full story.
Students and staff have gathered outside La Salle College, chanting and holding signs as the campus stays closed after filing for bankruptcy protection. The college halted classes earlier this week, leaving the campus empty while administrators navigate the legal process. Provincial officials say the school owes nearly $48 million to the Quebec government, a debt that contributed to the protection filing. Protesters say the closure disrupts their education and work, demanding a clear plan for the school's future. Police presence is minimal and the crowd remains peaceful as negotiations continue. The demonstration began this morning with students waving banners reading Save Our Education and staff holding placards calling for answers on tuition refunds and options. Quebec's education ministry said it is monitoring the situation closely. Denise Lariviere, GMNA News, La Salle.
An autistic student was expelled from a Montreal college early this morning after the institution denied a request for a French language exemption, sparking immediate criticism of the province's language policy. The Quebec government, which oversees the exemption framework that permits disabled learners to pursue studies in English, has come under fire for what opponents describe as overly restrictive criteria. Advocacy groups and the student's family are calling for a swift overhaul of the exemption process to ensure that disability accommodations are respected. College officials say the decision followed a review of the student's application, but have not disclosed details of the assessment. The controversy remains unresolved, as protests are planned outside the college and provincial ministers are slated to meet with stakeholders later this week. Critics argue the current system undermines Quebec's commitment to French, while failing to protect the rights of students with special needs.
Former Action Démocratique du Québec founder Jean Allaire died early Friday in Montreal, authorities confirmed. Allaire co-founded the ADQ and served as its first leader, shaping the party's early direction. In 1991, he produced a report that called for a more assertive Quebec stance toward Ottawa, a position that influenced provincial discourse for years. The document argued that Quebec required greater leverage in federal negotiations, a theme that resurfaced in later political debates. Colleagues described him as a steadfast advocate for Quebec autonomy and a thoughtful policymaker. The province's premier offered condolences, noting Allaire's lasting imprint on the political landscape. Funeral arrangements have not yet been announced. Although the ADQ has since dissolved, its early architects, including Allaire, remain reference points in discussions of Quebec federal relations. Allaire's passing closes a chapter on the generation that launched the ADQ and sought to reshape the province's relationship with the federal government.
Quebec's electoral map expands to 127 ridings, up from 125, pushing the majority threshold to 64 seats for the 2026 provincial election. Marion Cote has the full story.
The province has redrawn its electoral map, adding 2 new districts and pushing the total from 125 to 127. That shift means a party will now need 64 seats to claim a majority in the upcoming 2026 provincial election. Officials say the adjustments were made to reflect population changes and ensure more balanced representation across the region. With the Legislative Assembly expanding, each riding will play a slightly larger role in determining who can form government. Voters in the newly created constituencies will head to the polls alongside those in the existing 125 districts, all competing for a share of the 127 seats. Marion Kate, GMNA News, Montreal.
The city announced that this autumn it will expand the biweekly residual waste collection program to 4 additional boroughs. Residents of Ahuntsic-Cartierville, Villeray-St. Mitchell Park Extension, Pierrefonds-Roxborough, and L'Isle-Bizard-St. Genevieve can expect pickups every 14 days, matching the schedule already in place in Mercier-Hochelaga-Maisonneuve. Officials say the rollout aims to standardize service across the island and reduce overflow at landfill sites. The Mercier-Hochelaga-Maisonneuve pilot, launched last year, generated debate over collection frequency and curbside logistics. City Council will monitor the new districts for compliance and adjust routes as needed. City officials also said the expansion will be supported by new collection vehicles and additional staff to handle the increased volume. The move aligns with Montreal's broader sustainability strategy, which seeks to lower landfill dependence and curb illegal dumping. Residents will receive door-to-door flyers and can view the updated calendar on the municipal website, while the Waste Management Department coordinates with each borough office to fine-tune routes. Later, the Premier's surprise dissolve of the legislature sparks a 39-day race. Stay tuned for what that means. We will be right back.
Thinking about selling online, most people give up long before they ever get a store open. Quick.com changes that. Pick a template, add your products, and you are open for business. $10 a month, that is the whole price, no setup fees, and no cut of your sales. And there is the 10 on 10 guarantee. If you are not live in 10 minutes, your first month is on us. Mugs, apparel, crafts, coffee, if you can photograph it, you can sell it. Visit quick.com and open your store today. 10 minutes from now, you could be in business. I'm Tessa from GMNA Studios.
Welcome back. Authorities say a 35-year-old woman was found with multiple stab wounds yesterday morning in the Côte des Neiges neighborhood. The incident occurred at approximately 9 o'clock, prompting a rapid response from the Côte des Neiges precinct. Police responded to a call at a residential address and discovered the victim receiving emergency treatment for severe injuries. Investigators quickly identified the victim's husband as a suspect, and he was taken into custody near the scene shortly after officers arrived. The man is being held pending charges of aggravated assault and attempted homicide. Hospital officials confirmed the woman remains in intensive care, with doctors describing her condition as critical but stable. No further details about a motive have been released. Mayor Soria Martinez Ferrada was briefed on the case, emphasizing public safety. The investigation is ongoing, and detectives are reviewing surveillance footage and interviewing neighbors to piece together the events leading up to the attack.
Premier Christine Fréchette met with the Lieutenant Governor today to dissolve the National Assembly, starting a 39-day campaign ahead of the October 5, 2026 election. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
Premier Christine Fréchette met with the Lieutenant Governor this morning in Quebec City to sign the proclamation dissolving the National Assembly. The ceremony unfolded inside the historic Parliament building, where media cameras captured the signing. The formal dissolution triggers a 39-day election period, setting the campaign clock toward the provincial vote scheduled for October 5, 2024. Under provincial law, the Assembly must be dissolved before a general election, and the Premier's request was granted without opposition. Parties will now have the full campaign window to present their platforms, while the caretaker government remains in place to manage day-to-day affairs. The move marks the official start of the election timeline across the province. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, Montreal.
Yesterday, the Provincial Ethics Commissioner opened an investigation into Liberal MNA Vincent Marisol over alleged misuse of a government-funded official apartment. Investigators will examine whether Marisol permitted friends or associates to occupy the residence in return for promises of future overseas accommodation or guest points. The probe targets possible breaches of Quebec's ethics rules that forbid trading public housing benefits for personal advantage. The Commissioner's office said the inquiry is ongoing and will assess documentation of any such exchanges. The review will also examine any communications between the apartment manager and the beneficiaries involved. If violations are confirmed, the case could lead to sanctions under the province's strict conflict of interest framework. Officials emphasize that the investigation is independent and that no conclusions have been drawn at this stage. The matter underscores the scrutiny placed on elected officials' use of publicly funded resources.
Yesterday, the Quebec Liberal Party announced that Charles Milliard has withdrawn its candidate in the Rimouski riding, citing unacceptable behavior. Party officials said the decision was taken after an internal review uncovered conduct that did not meet the party's standards. The move comes as the Liberals gear up for the opening weeks of the provincial campaign, and analysts describe it as a significant setback for a party hoping to regain momentum after last year's election loss. Party insiders noted that the vacancy forces the local riding association to restart its nomination process, a timeline that could leave Rimouski without a Liberal presence on the ballot. The Liberals have not identified a replacement candidate, and the provincial leadership has pledged to uphold ethical standards while rebuilding its campaign infrastructure. The announcement also prompted criticism from opposition parties, who called for greater vetting of candidates.
A severe thunderstorm watch has been issued for several regions of Quebec, warning residents of possible violent storms on Thursday. Authorities urge caution as conditions develop. Denis Lariviere has the full story.
Dark, rolling clouds have gathered over the province as a severe thunderstorm watch goes into effect this Thursday. Meteorologists warn that gusty winds, heavy rain and possible hail could sweep through several Quebec regions later today and into tomorrow. Residents are being urged to stay alert, secure outdoor items, and monitor local updates as conditions evolve. Emergency services are on standby, ready to respond if lightning strikes or flooding develop. The watch covers a broad swath of the province, from coastal areas to inland communities, and will remain active until the threat diminishes. Authorities stress that the alert is precautionary, aimed at giving people time to prepare for rapid weather changes. Denis Lariviere, GMNA News, Montreal.
Now let's turn to your morning forecast and see what the skies have in store.
A southerly jet stream fuels rising high pressure, keeping the sky clear and temperatures modest. On this date, Montreal's all-time heat peaked at 30.6 degrees Celsius in 2018, a blistering surge that arrived with a lingering ridge of high pressure and a southerly surge of warm air from the interior. The cold record sits at 9.5 degrees Celsius set in 2017, a rare Arctic dip that followed a sudden plunge of northwest flow behind a fast-moving cold front. By contrast, today's climatological normals sit around 25 degrees for the high and 16 for the low, giving a modest swing. Turning to the live radar, the map shows no echo across southern Quebec. No precipitation is visible from the St. Lawrence corridor to the Laurentians. The blank pattern reflects the dominant high pressure aloft, which suppresses ascent, while the swift southerly jet stream rides above the moisture-laden layer, steering any disturbance eastward. The sky will stay clear through the morning as we shift to today's outlook. At 7 a.m., Montreal sits under partly cloudy skies with a temperature of 19 degrees and humidity near 92%. A moderate southwest breeze pushes 12 kilometers per hour, gusting up to 25, keeping the air feeling fresh. With high pressure building and a rising trend, the atmosphere remains stable. The jet stream overhead, moving at roughly 129 kilometers per hour from the southwest, caps any lift and drifts moisture eastward. Temperatures will climb steadily, reaching 27 degrees by late afternoon, then dip to 18 as the sun sets around 7:42. The UV index holds at 5, and wind peaks at 21 kilometers per hour from the south. No weather alerts are in effect. Looking ahead, Friday brings clear skies and a high of 21 degrees with a low of 12, a dry start to the weekend. Saturday remains similarly bright, reaching 22 degrees and falling to 12 at night, reinforcing the ridge of high pressure. Sunday introduces a modest change as an approaching trough brings overcast conditions and a 35% chance of rain, with temperatures climbing to 23 degrees and a low of 15. Monday stays overcast under the lingering trough, topping at 22 degrees and cooling to 15 by morning. Tuesday repeats the pattern, overcast with a 30% rain chance, a high of 21 and a low of 16.
The jet stream will gradually shift north, allowing the next cold front to arrive later in the week. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunrise is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic snarls continue with road closures. Our chamber spotlight shines on Clerk AI's new hub, and more headlines await. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Northbound traffic on Highway 15 Daiquiri is closed at south end of Daiquiri Expressway. Drivers are rerouted onto Boulevard St. Laurent and Boulevard St. Mitchell, adding at least 15 minutes to trips toward north. In downtown core, Guy Street remains under construction, with lane reductions near Barry-Ucum Metro Station. Expect slower flow on St. Laurent and St. Denis as traffic diverts. Work continues in central and eastern sectors on Louis-Hippolyte-Lafontaine Tunnel, keeping one lane shut and forcing alternating traffic. Blue Line extension project also narrows roadway along Rue St. Denis, so expect brief stops at temporary barriers. Finally, Papineau Street underpass near Rosemont Boulevard is partially blocked, directing vehicles onto Rosemont and St. Laurent. All other major arteries, including Highway 24 and Island Bridge, are moving freely. No transit delays are reported this morning, so metro and bus routes run on schedule. Expect afternoon to clear as crews finish tonight's work.
Looks like the calendar is quiet today, but stay tuned to the local sunrise for updates on the festivals, concerts, and community happenings coming up this week. And now here's Tyler with sports.
A quiet day on the local sports board. We will have more tomorrow.
Thanks, Tyler. Clerk AI, the Montreal-based artificial intelligence startup, has just opened its first Canadian engineering hub on St. Laurent Boulevard. Founded by McGill graduate Alexander Hack, the company builds AI platforms that help businesses automate workflows and extract insights from data. The new center will host a team of developers and data scientists, adding dozens of high-tech jobs right here in the city. By expanding locally, Clerk AI strengthens Montreal's reputation as a North American AI powerhouse and fuels the vibrant tech ecosystem of the St. Laurent corridor. The hub also partners with nearby universities, offering internships that bridge classroom learning with real-world projects. It's a reminder that when Montreal's innovators grow at home, the whole community reaps the benefits. Up next, watch party leaders launch their day one pitches, then see how summer storms are hitting insurers with a $439 million bill.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Quebec's party leaders launched the provincial election campaign on 27 August, delivering day one speeches as the race for the next government begins. Marion Cote has the full story.
Party leaders from across the province took to stages in Montreal and other key cities, laying out their top priorities as the election campaign officially kicked off on 27 August. The Liberal leader promised tax relief for families, while the Coalition Avenir Quebec chief focused on job creation and infrastructure upgrades. The Quebec Solidaire spokesperson highlighted climate action and affordable housing, and the Parti Québécois had called for a renewed push for sovereignty. Crowds gathered outside the National Assembly, with supporters chanting and waving flags as each speaker wrapped up their hour-long address. Police reported a smooth, orderly flow of attendees, and the day closed with a joint call for voter participation. Marion Catay, GMNA News, Montreal.
Severe summer storms across Ontario and Quebec have generated $439 million in insured losses, the highest in recent years, according to Catastrophe Indices and Quantification Inc. Marion Catay has the full story.
Across Ontario and Quebec, the summer's fierce thunderstorms have ripped through neighborhoods, snapping power lines, flooding basements, and flattening roofs. A new analysis from Catastrophe Indices and Quantification Inc. puts the insured damage at $439 million, the highest loss tally the region's insurers have recorded in recent years. Meteorologists say the season's storm intensity far exceeded typical patterns, driving widespread claims from homeowners, businesses, and auto owners alike. Adjusters are still on the ground assessing water-logged foundations and shattered windows, while insurance firms brace for a surge in payouts as policyholders file their reports. The financial ripple will be felt across the provincial insurance market for months to come. Marion Catay, GMNA News, Montreal.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us this morning. Today's story on the expansion of biweekly trash collection reminded us how our city keeps moving forward. We'll be back tomorrow with fresh news and insight, so stay tuned and have a wonderful day. Take care and see you at sunrise.